Hello, my favorite English language learners. It is your favorite English teacher here, Amy Joy, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you some of the advice that I give to my international students for making small talk in university and on campus. Now, I know that making small talk or starting a conversation with a total stranger can be very scary and very intimidating, especially for English language learners. Many of my students tell me that they are scared to start a conversation because they might pronounce something differently or they might make a grammar mistake. But let me tell you two things. Even for Americans, we get nervous to start a conversation with strangers. So you're not alone, you're not the only one, but that also means that many Americans might not start a conversation with you. So if you really want to meet new people and you really want to practice your English, you will have to be the one to start that conversation. But let me also tell you that if you're nervous about your grammar or your English, that's okay. As native English speakers, we know our language so well that we can usually figure out what you're saying even if it's not perfect. So please, don't let that prevent you from starting a conversation or trying to make new friends. And even if you don't feel like your English is strong enough, you actually have a huge advantage when it comes to making small talk. And that advantage is that you are super interesting. You come from another country, another culture, and you speak another language or multiple languages. You are already so interesting to us. And so if you can just be brave enough to start a conversation, I am sure that whoever you want to talk to will be very interested in getting to know you and what you have to say. But I know it still can be very nerve-wracking and scary to start a conversation. But let me tell you, making small talk is as easy as cats. Yes, that's what I said, cats. And CATS is an acronym that I give to my students, a little template for making small talk. So let me break this down for you, and then I will give you 3 conversations so you can see how to use CATS when making small talk. Now, starting a conversation can be the hardest part, but typically when making small talk, we find something in common with the person we want to talk to, or we compliment them. So that is the first letter, C. Find something in common or compliment the person you want to talk to. Now, finding something in common doesn't have to be a common hobby. It's just anything in your environment that you share. For example, the place you're in, so maybe the class, the people around you, maybe your professor, or even the clothes that the person is wearing. All of those things are things that you have in common with your conversation partner and something that can help you start the conversation easily. Then, once you've started talking to your conversation partner, you can ask them questions and ask a lot of follow-up questions. This is especially useful because people love to talk about themselves, and if you're nervous about your English, you can also get them to talk more than you have to talk. So asking questions is a great way to keep the conversation going without having to do a lot of the talking. But of course, you can't only ask questions, and that leads us to the letter T. Tell something about yourself. Like I mentioned, you are very interesting and you have a lot to offer. And if you are just getting to know someone new for the first time, an easy thing to tell them about yourself is where you're from. Once they realize that you are not from here, they will probably ask you a lot of questions about your home, your country, and typically my students are fairly comfortable talking about that. So that is a safe thing to tell about yourself. And then lastly, when your conversation comes to an end and you're not sure how to end it, you can stop the conversation by saying your name. This might be a little surprising because in a lot of textbooks, people usually introduce themselves with their names first, But a lot of times we kind of just go into conversation and then we end it by saying, oh, by the way, my name is Amy Joy. And they'll say their name and then you can kind of end the conversation. So let's take a look at 3 different conversations that might happen on campus to see how we can use cats in real life. So imagine you're in a philosophy class. There are about 15 students and one of your classmates is wearing a Lakers sweatshirt. Making small talk in this situation might go like this. Hey, are you a Lakers fan? Oh yeah, for sure. I grew up watching them. Are you from LA? Actually, no. I'm from the Bay Area, but I hate the Warriors. My dad was a big Kobe fan, so I always liked them. Oh yeah, Kobe was my favorite player too. It's so sad what happened to him. Have you been to many basketball games? Yeah, every time the Lakers come to the Bay, my dad and I go. I wish I could go to more though. I think now that I live closer to LA, I'll go more. Yeah, you should. LA isn't too far. So where in the Bay are you from? I'm from Berkeley, but I wasn't smart enough to get into UC Berkeley. Oh yeah, I didn't get in either. Do you like Berkeley or Santa Barbara better? Oh, I love Santa Barbara. I'm really into surfing and hiking, so it's great for that. Oh, cool. Have you done a lot of hikes here? Maybe you can recommend one to me. Definitely. The hike at Inspiration Point is pretty good. Oh, I haven't heard of that one. My hometown in China is famous for hiking, so I would love to go. And then your philosophy instructor walks into the class and you realize that you need to stop talking. So you can then say, oh, by the way, my name is Kevin. And then they'll say, I'm Jack. Nice to meet you. You too. And you can kind of end the conversation that way. So let's take a look at this and see how cats showed up in this conversation. Notice we started off by finding something in common. We looked at our surroundings and we saw that they were wearing a Lakers sweatshirt. So that is the thing that is in common. Then we asked a question. Are you a Lakers fan? And we asked a lot of follow-up questions like, are you from LA? Have you been to many basketball games? Where in the Bay are you from? Do you like Berkeley or Santa Barbara better? Have you done a lot of hikes here? So here we asked a lot of questions and probably your conversation partner will ask you some too, but if they don't, you can just keep asking questions until you find opportunity to tell something about yourself. And in this conversation, we tell something about ourselves where it says, my hometown in China is famous for hiking, so I would love to go. That is where you reveal something about yourself. You're from China, you like hiking, and then that's an opportunity for your conversation partner to start asking you questions. Like I said, you are already so interesting, and if you can just find somewhere in the conversation to let them know that you are not from here, that will open a flood of questions for them to ask you because that is super interesting. Now, in this conversation, we had the common interest of the Lakers, but if you don't see that you have a hobby or a sports team in common, you can find something else. So let's look at something a little bit more generic or simple. Again, you're in your philosophy class, and another conversation in this situation might start like this. Hey, how do you like this class so far? Oh, it's going pretty good. It's a lot of work, but pretty interesting. Yeah, I agree. Are you a philosophy major or just taking this class for a GE? Oh, I'm just taking this as a GE. It's the only class that fit with my schedule. Yeah, me too. What's your major? Chemistry, and I'm minoring in film studies. Oh, that's cool. Why did you choose film studies? I really like indie films and Korean dramas, so I thought it would be interesting. Wow, so cool. What are some classic American films you recommend I watch? I've seen a lot of American movies, but I think there are a lot that I don't know. Oh yeah, definitely. I'll make you a list. Where are you from? I'm from China. I just got here about a month ago. So here you can see again, just the fact that you're in the same class means that you have something in common with your classmate. And then once you start that conversation with something in common, you can then continue by asking questions like, what's your major? Why did you choose that major? What are some classic American films that I should watch? By asking about American culture, it reveals that you might be unfamiliar, and it gives your conversation partner an opportunity to talk about culture, give you some new information, and maybe have a nice cultural exchange. So again, if you ever find an opportunity to reference the fact that you're not from here, that's a good opportunity for them to start asking you questions. Now let me give you a little bit of bonus advice here. Before you ever start a conversation, take 10 minutes and just think about some of the unique things that you have noticed in the US. Practice writing some things that you like about the US, some things you have learned here, or some of the differences. This will help you feel prepared to engage in a conversation about cultural differences and will give you something more interesting to say instead of just, oh, I like it, or oh, it's different. So, for example, maybe you really like peanut butter cups. Peanut butter cups are a very American thing. Or maybe you really like Dr. Pepper. Or maybe you can tell them some of the slang that you've learned while you have been here. Or you can make an observation about how everyone here smiles, and that is very different from your home culture. So just by writing out some specific things, you can feel more prepared to enter into a conversation about cultural differences. And when you have something specific to say, like something like funny slang words or your favorite American snacks, that will generate a more interesting conversation than just, oh, it's different, or oh, I'm homesick, or something like that. So think about the things that you like about the US, and Americans will be super interested and excited to hear your perspective on living here. All right, and before we move on to our next example conversation, I want to remind you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and click that notification bell so that YouTube will notify you whenever I post new content. Thank you. Okay, in the last conversation, we started off by just talking about the class that we were in, but if you don't want to talk about the class and you just want to start a conversation in any situation, you can always start with a compliment. Again, you're in your philosophy class and you see someone with purple hair. You can say, "Oh wow, I love your hair." And they might say, "Thanks, I did it myself." "Really? It's so unique. How long did it take you to do it?" "Oh, it took forever. My roommate and I spent all Saturday doing it." "Oh, that's a good roommate. Where do you live?" "We live on campus in the dorms. My RA wasn't happy that we stained the bathroom purple." "Oh no, I actually live in the dorms too, and I also used to have pink hair. Do you want to see?" "Sure." And then take out your phone, show them the picture of your awesome hair, and then they might make a comment. For example, "Wow, look at that. Where are you here?" "I was on vacation in Japan." And then you might talk about Japan, or the teacher might walk in and say, "Hi everyone." And then you have to stop the conversation and say your name. And you can say, "We can talk later. I'm Kathy, by the way." "I'm Alexis. Nice to meet you." So again, seeing how you can kind of end that conversation by introducing yourself and saying your name. And that's a really nice and not awkward way to end a conversation that has to end. All right, now that you know our cute little acronym CATS, I want to challenge you and give you a little bit of homework. I want you this week to try and start a conversation with a native English speaker. This can be in your class, in the library, in the dining commons, anywhere on campus. And if you're not an international student, this can also happen anywhere. But it is so important for you as an English language learner to really initiate these conversations and give yourself an opportunity to practice English. Not every conversation is going to result in a lifelong friendship, but just starting a conversation can help you build that confidence and give you a little bit more practice so that you can improve. I really encourage you to start a conversation with a native speaker, and please let me know in the comments below if you do and how it goes. I would love to hear your experience and see you making an effort to improve your English. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you like it, subscribe to my channel, and click that notification bell so YouTube will notify you whenever I post new videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you next time. Bye!